If I had any opportunity to not be on social media, I would take it. I truly don't care about getting views. Like I just have to make stuff. All of my income comes from making videos. None of it comes from YouTube. I would say it's like looser than people treat it. I think you're allowed to steal pretty heavily. Do I think it's my job to go out and yell at people and smack Bibles over their heads? No, that's not me. Jeez, yeah, these are huge questions. That dopamine rush is every bit as intoxicating as the million view video. Every time, and I can do it every day. Once you get a million view video, you just realize it doesn't change anything. I think when I feel creatively limited is when I have the most motivation, because
what you're about to see is a conversation with one of the most creative people I know, Shaffer Nickel, a YouTuber from Colorado who makes videos on any given topic but manages to hit the nail on the head every time and evokes emotion like no one other. He's an incredible filmmaker and a huge inspiration for myself. And in this conversation, we talk mostly about creativity, his process of making videos, a whole deal about YouTube, but also about community and finding friends in the digital age. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did and learn even more. First of all, everyone, give me some slack because this is the first time I'm doing this kind of thing. As I said to Shaffer,
give me some slack. This is this is not the first time I'm doing this thing, and I'm blowing it.
No, you're doing great, man. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Hello, this is the first, I guess, I don't know, episode of whatever this is. I have no idea. And I'm here with the one and only Shaffer Nickel, who...
Stop.
I don't want to compliment too much, but I think you're the most creative person I have ever met.
Gosh.
But before we hop right into it, for those of you who don't know you, can you give just a little bit of a context of, who you are and what's your kind of like professional background, however weird that sounds, and, how does a kid from Colorado become Shaffer Nickel?
Oh my gosh. Well, oh God, that's a huge question. I guess I'm a lost nobody on the internet that makes videos and I guess enjoys it sometimes.
Sometimes.
And yeah. Shoot. I mean, yeah, I make videos. That's probably the easiest way to say it.
Okay.
Sometimes for me on YouTube, sometimes for other businesses or other people or whatever. And I guess I got into it just happenstantially, luckily. And I'm just happy to be here. I don't know. Yeah.
Can we dive?
I'm so bad with like compliments and I'm not a very good salesman.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop with you.
Oh, you're good. You're good. No, it's just me.
How did you get into filmmaking? Like, what's the beginning? Where did you first grab a camera and start creating something and felt like, oh, this is it?
I think like a lot of people, the answer is like skateboarding. I grew up skateboarding and I thought I was a lot better at it than I was. And so I would film myself and my friends and it wasn't just skateboarding. It was like all the stuff we would do. My dad had this old DV camera and he let me borrow it and I just filmed everything. And that started when I was probably, oh man, who knows, like 10 or 11. And I just never really stopped filming everything. And then along the way, like got, subjectively all right at it. And now I'm here. So yeah, I think just sort of being excited about skateboarding and excited about doing all kinds of different things and then just wanting to hold on to it in some way.
Do you think that two things, first skateboarding, and second of all, the place you're from, which you also talk about a lot in your videos.
Yeah.
How do you think these affect your creativity and your creative process?
Wow, dude, that's the right question for me because I love talking about where I'm from and where I live and everything. And so I grew up actually like a couple hours away from where I live right now. And it's a super tiny place. Like my graduating class was 40 kids, which for the US, that's tiny. And we were backed up against the national forest area. So you could leave our school. You could like walk out the back door and just go into the woods, which was really cool. And so when it comes to that, like we were filming all the dumb stuff we did. It was just like when we would get out of school, there was just an endless world of possibilities when it came to like, oh, we could go out in the forest and film pushing big old dead trees down, or we could go skate behind the old church, or we could, it was kind of this super limited canvas, but at the same time, it was like an infinite playground because there were just no rules. All of our parents are, to live in this middle of nowhere, like where I grew up isn't even a town. It's not even considered a town. So you kind of got to be a little bit of a hippie to want to live there. So all of our parents were cool and let us do whatever we wanted. And it was very, I don't know, we were definitely kind of wild animals back then, and sort of made me who I am now, I guess. So.
Have you ever felt creatively limited by, the place you're in? And if so, how did you overcome it? And how do you get over it?
All the time, and it's the most refreshing thing ever. I think when I feel creatively limited is when I have the most motivation, because like right now I'm in this really, really amazing place. And I'm just a visitor here at the time being, and it just feels like there's infinite possibilities. Like there's so many beautiful views and hikes and trails, and it really makes me feel like more claustrophobic than if it was just one room, I guess. Because like in one room, you know what you can work with. It's very like laid out, like what you can and can't get away with. In a place like this, it's like I just feel like possibilities are endless, and that cripples me. So where I live now is super small. We have like a couple restaurants. It's nothing fancy, and I feel the most creative there because I just know exactly what I can and can't get away with, and it's not overwhelming. I don't know if that's a good answer, but
yeah,
that's my answer.
Yeah, it's incredible. So what you're saying is creative limitations are actually good for your creativity, right?
No, yeah, for sure. And I think at this point that's almost a cliche to say, but it's super true. Like it's so true. And I'm intimidated by, there's the big push for like, oh, you got to move to Los Angeles or New York to make it work, and I'm just like, well, then maybe I'll just do something else cuz I don't want to do that.
That's awesome. You've talked about this on your members page a little bit, but I really want to dig deep into this because when I am watching your stuff, half the time I'm like, man, I really need to steal this. Like, there is no other way to explain this concept. Like, this dude has just done it. So what do you steal from? Like, where do you actually take inspiration from?
Wow, Jake Frew specifically. Yeah, Jake is a good friend of mine, and I feel like we're kind of in this dance of like, I don't think stealing is quite the right word. There needs to be a word between inspired by and stealing. Like it's right in the middle there. But yeah, Jake inspires me a lot. Outside of that, just like so much random stuff. Like I love watching, like my medium right now are sort of like the floor I'm dancing on right now is YouTube, because it's the easiest way to sort of like upload and post stuff. But I love watching stuff and engaging with stuff from all over the place. Like I feel like I get inspiration from paintings. I get inspiration from different movies, super weird sort of foreign short commercials, like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, that's kind of a big question because I do feel like I am in my own little world, like a curator of very great art that I like anyway.
What are some of the movies you'd recommend to watch?
Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. The whole entire TV series is one of my all-time favorites. I love Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I recommend, there's a website called Director's Library that they kind of like harvest a bunch of different commercials and short films, and usually they're pretty good about finding like outside the norm stuff, super inspirational stuff. Salvatore Ganacci, I don't like his music, but I love his music videos and his marketing. Oliver Tree. Dude, I mean, that's just what I've been watching like lately, but I could go on forever. There's so many things.
When you're watching a movie, for example, or a TV series or anything like that, like how do you know that something you're seeing is like, oh, I want to make something similar? Is there anything like this?
Oh, same thing you just said. Like I'm super honored that my channel is that for you, like, because when I see something, it's just like you get that feeling where you're just like, oh, this like means something to me arbitrarily, and I just want to hold on to it or copy it or what, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's nothing more complicated than just like, oh, I like this, I want to do that.
Okay, and what's your kind of philosophy on recreating stuff? Where's the line where someone is actually, copying and imitating and not giving enough credit, and where is like, okay, you can do that. For example, I
Yeah.
love, let's do this on example. I
Okay.
absolutely love the shots when you, and I told you this before, when in your I'm feeling lost video, or like for those feeling lost video, when you were just lying down in like random places in the elevator and all that, and like how am I supposed to talk about the same thing without using this exact same metaphor?
Oh,
So
dude. Well, that was, I don't even remember the music video, but I remember I saw a shot that I like perfectly recreated in that video. It was the one where I was like half in the door, half out of the door. I saw that shot in just some random music video, and I have a folder of screenshots on my computer, and I'll just screenshot stuff like that where I'm like, oh, that would be cool. So I screenshotted that, like a guy just laying halfway in the door, halfway out of the door, and I was like, that is so cool. I really want to do that. So I recreated the shot, and then I was like, I don't love that this is like kind of the exact same thing. Maybe I'll go try it somewhere else. And then I tried it somewhere else, and I was like, that's cool, but it'd be cooler if it was like from a different angle or whatever. And then I just kept going and going and going. And all those different shots in that video where I was laying on the ground weren't even like, I didn't plan on putting them all together. I was just trying to get one that I really liked. And then over the course of trying over and over, I was like, oh, these are all like, if you put them together, it kind of is like, I don't know, a cohesive thought, I
that
guess.
is that is fantastic. That is so insightful. It's so just great to see, what's the actual process behind this. So, taking something and then just iterating on that and seeing what happens when you just try something a little bit different, and then you land with something you might not even have thought you will ever create. But
Yeah, I'm curious what you think. Like, what do you think the line is for you if you were to rip someone off or copy someone or be inspired by someone? Like, what's the line between inspiration and copying? What do you think?
well, I definitely have stolen a few things from you at some point. Maybe more taking inspiration, like the metaverse video. You
Mm.
directly kind of like, it made me think, and I was like, oh, I need to lay out my thoughts on this. But I think the line is, if you do actually use, if I were to use this exact, shots or whatever, I think I would just have to explicitly say, hey guys, this sequence was directly inspired by Shaffer, and I think you should watch his stuff because it's awesome. And I'm just doing this for practice,
Oh, dude, you think so? I don't know, man. It all just kind of feels like, I was a great example of this that I was just talking about with Jake was there was this sunglasses company that did this like kind of specific ad, I guess, and another sunglasses company who had done something also like relatively specific commented on it, and it was basically like it was this ad where everyone was only wearing sunglasses, like everyone was nude except for the sunglasses, which I don't know. I don't feel like that alone is such a broad thing. It's hard to put your name on like something so broad. Like a better example is like me laying on the ground. It's like I don't have a copyright on laying on the ground. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like I don't know. I would say it's like looser than people treat it. I think you're allowed to
Okay.
steal pretty heavily. I think it's more just like how you incorporate it into the story you're trying to tell. It's like using different. I don't know. I'm just rambling, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just trying to justify the fact that I steal everything I do. Really, that's what I'm doing.
no, but honestly, that's also kind of it kind of puts me at ease because I've been really afraid of doing stuff like that. Like even your van life metaphor, when you said that it used to be a very easy way of experiencing adventure, and now it's like this. How indistinguishable can this be from a Ritz-Carlton hotel? I use that exact metaphor in one of my videos, but for a different thing, for
Oh,
bourgeoising, and
awesome.
for
Yeah, see
journaling.
that to me just feels like a baton pass. It doesn't feel like copying or I don't know. I would hope creative people have a looser grip on things like saying Ritz-Carlton hotel room. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
That's awesome. I love this. Okay, so once we're on this topic, about finding inspiration, because from what I gather, you often find a shot that you want to make, right? And
Mhm.
then you kind of figure out what story you're going to tell within the shot. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that's been true in the past. I feel like I am all consistently in a self-doubt sort of scenario where I'll have done that for like a bunch of videos previously, and then now it's like I feel like I haven't done that as consistently as I used to. So it ebbs and flows like where the inspiration comes from, but I do think a big starting point will be like, okay, I'm going to make this image. And then from there it's like, okay, this image looks really good. Now how do I like make it more than just an image, you know? So I would say up until this point that's happened a lot. That's not 100% of the time. Sometimes I just like hit record and run out in the in the woods and see what happens.
That's so interesting. So you come up with a visual more often you think than you come up with a concept for the video. Like if you
Yeah, which is something I'm trying to grow out of, honestly. Like I would like to be to the point where I can like visualize an entire thing before I make it. While as now it's just kind of like I'll film one thing and then that'll like spur the thought to like where it could go next, you know? Or I'll film like two completely separate things and then try and figure out like a bridge between them, which is to me it kind of feels like a creative crutch. I would really like to grow into someone that can like write a whole thing and
but do
then
you think
film it, you
do
know?
you think that's possible even? Like don't you think that maybe some of the best things kind of happen when you go with the flow and just see whatever like wherever the story tells you takes you?
Yeah, I think for me it's worked out a couple times, and then a couple times it's also just felt like super arbitrary and kind of like a stretch, you know? It kind of feels like I'll watch some of the videos I made back and I'll just be like, all right, that doesn't really land, but it was a nice try.
Can you give an example? Do you have one?
I could give one that I probably shouldn't give because there's a brand involved in it.
Okay.
Hold on, let me think about that. Yeah, okay, yeah, I mean, we were talking about the like feeling behind in life one, right? It's like I had the idea with the image of laying on the ground and everything. And then, you know, the narrative challenge is how do you use this footage to say something other than just I'm exhausted, you know? And so then basically you could sum that whole video up by just saying like, things get hard, got to keep moving forward, which is like, I put so much time and effort into saying like that one sentence. And, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like super critical of everything I make, but to me, it's just like, I
know
watched
the
that
feeling.
video. I watched that video back now and I'm just like, this almost says nothing. So I don't know.
Okay, that's interesting. But can we dive deeper into how you actually make videos? If you were to describe what's the process of you creating a video and coming up with the thing that we can all watch later on in YouTube, like what's the start to finish thing?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna ask you the same question though, because I'm curious
Okay.
about your process as well. Start to finish. I wake up. I Dude, I don't know. It kind of just happens. It's weird. It's like there's no like version of me that hasn't made videos since I was like almost 10 years old. So part of it I think is just I'll have footage from something I did and then I'll think like, "Oh, that was cool. I got to figure out how to incorporate that into some kind of story or message or whatever." And then I kind of just do it. I don't know. It's a hard thing to answer cuz it's not really like I start one place. It's kind of just like I'm always filming. I'm always sort of in my head thinking about whatever. So I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
did a really bad job answering that question.
no. I'll ask a follow up. If you are always filming, I guess that's kind of like a part you don't really have to worry about. But where do you think the story comes together in the edit or in your mind, kind of like thinking, okay, what's the script, so to speak? Even if you don't write it down.
Yeah, for me it's in the edit. I think like usually since I'm always filming, I'll have a bunch of different files of stuff. So it'll be like, you know, I'll either go on a trip or I'll go do like some mountaineering thing or I'll go skateboarding or whatever. And so I have all these individual files that are labeled like all the different things I filmed. And then I'll kind of just try and think of like a bridge between them. And usually that means like pulling the footage into the editing software and then just being like, okay, like how does this shot relate to this shot? What are the kind of cuts that could go together? And then it's like, okay, I have all this footage. Now what do I want to say about it? The actual writing, like usually if I'm making a video about like I made a video about God kind of recently, like those are all things that just kind of are in the background of my brain, just kind of getting thrown around for
How long does a video like this take for you?
like that one probably took me like a little over a month, I guess. Like from, but you know, like my opinion and my thoughts about God have been developing for my whole life. So it's a hard question to answer because like yeah, I mean like I have a very clear ending point, which is when I upload it, but there's not really a super clear starting point because I could say I started that video when I
When
went
I
to
was
church
born.
for the
Yeah.
first time. Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm doing a terrible job answering these
No,
questions,
but this
but
is so interesting because it makes me think. Uh, have you ever had a situation where, in the process of creating a video, which again, what you create is not really tutorials and like very transactional things. It's more often something deeper, like the video about God. Have you had the situation where, in the process of crafting something, you actually change your mind or like realize something you did not realize before?
oh yeah, totally for sure. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Like I've made entire videos and gotten to the end of it and just been like, I don't even agree with this. Like I made this and I learned so much in the process of making it that I don't even like it isn't even a part of me anymore. So then you got to like scrap that one and move on to something else. So
Oh,
dude,
really?
if there's one thing I'm good at, yeah, if there's one thing I'm good at, it's just scrapping videos. I'm like super good at making an entire video and then not deleting it, just not really doing anything with it. Cause yeah, I feel like they are like making it is a learning process and you may learn at the end of the process like this isn't me.
in
So
in one of your membership videos you said something that really struck me, and that's been kind of like an answer to a question I had for a long time, something along the lines of, it's my artistic integrity that won't let me to put out something that doesn't click the way it could. So I'm
yeah,
wondering how much you're talking about, scrapping video and all that, how much attention to detail is important to you? How, like the shadow in the God video, I did not notice it until you pointed it out.
oh
In
cool. That's
that
cool.
was, but then when I showed it to my dad or to my friends, they were like, "Oh my lord, that is incredible!" And I
Oh
think
cool,
there's
that's awesome.
there's something about art that doesn't really like it's not all conspicuous at the very beginning. But I'm wondering, like, where's the point where you think, okay, I think I might be obsessing about this a little bit too much and no one's gonna ever see it?
Dude, yeah, I mean you know for one thing like this okay, hold on, let me like get my thoughts right so I can communicate this properly. It sounds for sure like this is justifying the fact that whatever you don't get as many views. I truly don't care about getting views. Like I really I just have to make stuff. It's like it's the same thing as like being hungry. It's just like if I don't make something I feel I feel like I'm missing something, you know? So I never am super concerned about whether it's like, oh, I'm going to put all this work in and no one's going to see it. It's like I'm going to put all this work in regardless. But something that I really love about music specifically is with music, the the product is the music. You know what I mean? Like with YouTube videos, generally it's like, oh, this video is sponsored by whatever. You sell the product. The video isn't the product. The video is sort of like this like billboard, at least in a commercial sense. I love music because it's like the thing that you put all your energy and all your time into is the thing that sort of gets like shipped off to people, and the thing that people like, that's what interacts with their life, right? I would love to get to a point where I look back on my sort of body of work and have it feel more like individual songs. Like it's like I wasn't selling anything here. I was just like the video was the product, which is kind of, I guess I'm not doing the best job explaining it, but I treat them very, I have a lot of respect for them because I know, hopefully in a decade my kids will be able to watch back on them, and it's like I have to be thoughtful about what I want in there, So I don't haphazardly put anything in a video without thinking like, okay, this is like an extension of my creativity, and I want to respect that, I guess, is
That
kind of a way
is
you could put it.
that is so refreshing because in the world of YouTube and social media, everyone's telling you, you gotta upload more, you gotta do more, you gotta all the kind of.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Like I said, it's kind of like I said earlier, it's the floor I'm dancing on. It's kind of just what you got to do, but I really love the idea. One of my favorite musical artists talks about how when they make an album and they release it, the album becomes its own thing. It's like the people who listen to the album, they can like the band, whatever, but the album is this standalone. It's not yours anymore, you know? And I like the idea of making stuff where it's like once it's uploaded, it's like its own thing. It's not mine anymore. I would love to get to a point where people don't like, the Shaffer Nickel part of the videos. They just like the videos. I'm way more concerned with people liking the videos than I am with people liking me.
Is that
So
is that why sometimes I think most of your videos are more like B-roll and voiceover rather than you talking?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't like being on camera anyway. I think in this stage of my career, if you could call it that, it's kind of essential because I don't have actors and I don't have, what I mean? I don't have the resources to do anything else. But there will definitely come a time where I'm not on camera anymore. That's for sure.
Mm.
Um,
So what
yeah.
you're trying to get like into the Shaffer Nickel of the future, do you think he's still a YouTuber creating videos like right now, or are you thinking something bigger?
I, I really don't know. I really don't know. Like, I could see transitioning pretty heavily into writing in the future. Like that feels like a supernatural transition from what I'm doing now. But I really don't know. It's hard to say because if you had asked me when I started making videos if I thought I'd be a YouTuber, that didn't even exist, So it's hard to say what the future version of me has because the mediums will change and the format will change. But
When we're talking
I don't know.
about formats, what do you think about short form films?
I think they're a super good way. It's kind of like, especially if your brain works in a shorter storytelling way, then I think they're a great sort of training ground. Like you can practice all kinds of different techniques and storytelling tactics, and you can work on getting people's attention. And are they my thing? Like, no, I don't like making them. But
Yeah.
I think the same way it's like you could ask a trombone player if he likes playing the violin, and he would be like, "No, I suck at the violin. It's not
Okay.
my instrument."
So I'm gonna pause here to answer your question about my process because I don't want to
Yeah.
leave
I
you
was
hanging.
gonna cycle back on you,
Yeah, so I think I work in a completely opposite way to you, and that's why I kind of am fascinated by
dude.
how
I
you
envy
work.
that. Yeah, tell me
Because
more.
yeah, what I do most of the times is kind of like I have this concept. So I want to talk about feeling lost, for example, or me being 20 and feeling behind in life, or always tired, or whatever. It's just a wild thing. It's kind of like I'm always thinking about stuff and I need to pour this out. Similarly to you, it's like hunger, but I think it's more like even oxygen. I just need to because I'm gonna die
Yeah,
if I don't let
yeah.
my thoughts out. But what I do then is kind of like journal basically. I just write everything that comes to my mind about this topic or just whatever, all the thoughts unfiltered completely. And then
Yeah.
I try and find the story in the script, so to speak, in the journal part, so I kind of like
So
link
it's
things
super
together.
visual then, like you're like looking at everything on paper, right?
Yes, exactly. And
So
then when
I'm curious, like when you do that, does the words that sort of come out on paper, are they pretty scattered or is it very like linear? You know what I'm
oh
saying?
they're
Like,
com-
are you right?
they're super scattered. Like these
Okay,
thoughts
yeah.
are just all over the place, when I also am in the process of creating a video on that, on how you should
Mm,
stop taking pretty notes. In high school I was this nerd and I was taking, beautiful notes, highlighting everything and all that. But once you get into creating, that just doesn't work because creativity
mm,
is just so messy, I just have to write something down and then circle it, link it to something else, and that is super messy. But then I kind of refined it into kind of like a blog post. I could probably start a
mm.
blog with that. And then only after that, I think of the visuals that could, represent whatever I'm trying to say. And
Interesting.
I really do want to become a better filmmaker because I don't think these visuals are like powerful enough yet. And that's
What
why,
do you mean by that? You mean like what what do you mean by become a better filmmaker? Because it sounds like, I don't know. I mean, like, I love your videos.
Oh
So
man.
are you talking about like tech? Are you talking about like technical execution, or are you talking about
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, okay.
I feel like, you know, the storytelling aspect is something that I still, you know, want to get better at. I'm reading Storyworthy right now by Matthew Dix, which is a phenomenal book, by the way.
Hmm.
But I think I'm stronger in that kind of department than the filmmaking itself, because
Dude,
I don't have a
yeah,
background.
I get that for sure. Like, I fully, I fully respect that desire for sure. But do not trade that. Don't trade your storytelling thing for like the technical camera stuff, because the storytelling will take you further than any sort of like gear knowledge will. And I learned that the hard way. So many of my early videos on my previous YouTube channel that I also nuked were just like pretty videos. And um
No, I guess what I just find fascinating in, you know, your process is the fact that you come up with a very deep concept, because again, I don't really think things like, you know, God or you know, feeling lost and all that is that's not shallow. These are deep concepts, and kind of the fact that you come up with an image and that leads you to these deep concepts, that's fascinating. And I think that, you know, seeing that connection there, that's very, very creative. Because
yeah, it's funny you say that, because I've never even thought about it that way. It's so like it's so just like, I don't know. You know, the best way when we were talking about like what does your process look like beginning to end, it's very much like we were talking about hunger. It's like, when do you get hungry? It's like, you don't know, you just kind of all of a sudden are hungry.
yeah,
And then when you
yeah,
eat, you're not hungry anymore. You know what I mean? So mine feels like, in the process, it just feels like I'll be like not not making a video, and then you kind of like shake your head and look around. You're like, oh my god, I'm halfway done with a video already.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just really weird.
Do
Yeah.
you work on just one thing at a time?
No, which I need to. I really need to, because it's
So
not
you
good for
have
me.
multiple YouTube projects open at the same time?
Yeah, usually I'll have like two or three sort of um, in the background, and then two of them will die.
Yeah, I'm asking because I'm at the same place, you know, and whenever I'm just like thinking of multiple these big concepts, they're big, you know. It's not something you can
Yeah.
really like think about community, because that's something that's going on in my head a lot, and thinking about just, you know, I don't know, something else completely different at
Yeah,
the same time. That's something that's difficult for me.
it's definitely it's definitely something I need to work on, because I don't think it's the best. I don't know. I don't know what I think.
Okay, so I've been thinking, uh, it's incredible and very inspiring that you don't really care about the views and all that, but still, we are in the YouTube game. So I'm wondering, like, what's your strategy, so to speak, on like growing or whatever? Is there any, or do you not care completely? And how do you combine art with the business, quote unquote, of that? Because, you know, we do need to sustain ourselves and pay the bills and whatnot. So what's your view
Yeah.
on that?
Well, I would say my strategy is just do whatever you can to not hate it. Like, don't like, I think as soon as you start to dive into the like, oh, you know, I gotta do this in the first 10 seconds, or else people are gonna like, it
Hmm.
so quickly just becomes the McDonald's assembly line of videos, where it's like, oh, you know, this one didn't do good because I didn't do a call to action, and I wasn't super upbeat and used text in the first 10 seconds, and I did like whatever. It's just like, the more I lean into that sort of thing, the more it just kind of depresses me. And I mean, like, it really does depress me. It makes me very sad. And so you know, for me, it's like, the more I've been leaning into just like, you know what, I'm going to make things at the rhythm and the pace that I feel like making them. I'm going to try and stay authentic and try and take care of my brain and stay happy. Then it's worked out better than the times where, well, I say that the one video, dude, the one video where I was like, I'm going to be completely formulaic, I'm going to follow all the rules and see what happens, was my van life video. And it's almost to 1 million views. So, so I don't know, you know, it's
How
like,
do you feel about it though? Like, are you proud of that video, or do you think like you have compromised your artistic integrity to follow the rules?
I don't feel like it was too much of a compromise because I set out knowing what I was getting into. Like I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube video with this one, and if anything, it was kind of just like a little bit of validation in the sense where I was like, okay, if I really wanted to do this, I could do this. It's not like I don't know the recipe to make the cake. But then after that, just kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, what did I enjoy about this? What did I not enjoy? And the thing I enjoyed was the challenge of like, okay, I'm going to just make like a formulaic YouTube video and then seeing it come to fruition and work out. But then the thing I didn't enjoy was like, I can't make that video over and over and over again. It's just it's just too much for my sort of personality.
What do you mean by formulaic? What's that kind of like for you?
Yeah, I mean, like if you were to go onto YouTube and look up strategy for getting more views on your video, and they tell you all those things that I was saying earlier, it's like in the first 10 seconds you have to be upbeat, use text on screen, your hook has to be, really good.
Yeah, your hook in that one was amazing. In the 3 seconds you kind of stop watching.
Yeah, and so almost everything that happened in that video was thought out beforehand, where it was like, okay, at this point, I'm going to be losing a little bit of the energy. So what am I going to do to like pick it back up, whatever. Most of my videos, I'm not thinking through like, okay, what's my hook going to be? I'm sort of just like, I'm just going to start the video however it feels right, And so that turns into a compromise when it comes to engagement and views and all that. But at the end of the day, again, it's like, I'm looking at hopefully somewhere down the road where either me in the future or my kids in the future or whatever version of the people in the future that I matter to are looking back on what I made. I don't want them to be just berated with, "What's up, everybody?" and then like a guy gets hit by a van and like, here's the hook and like blah, blah, blah.
But that was a fantastic shot though.
I want it to feel like they're hanging out with who I was, That's more important to me than I guess,
That's incredible. That's it. Do you feel like, how long have you been posting on YouTube particularly?
I had a channel before my channel now, and that was the one that I sort of had like at end of high school into the beginning of college. But I think my YouTube channel that has turned into what it is now has been like the last 4 or 5 years. So
when you watch a video from 4 years ago, do you feel like you're hanging out with a Shaffer from 4 years ago?
No, but I wasn't who I am now, like I was concerned with making a YouTube channel and making, I think my motivation was different then. And then, you get older and you realize that, once you get, I mean, not to brag or anything, but once you get a 1 million view video, you just realize it doesn't change anything. It's like, it doesn't, I'm not going to say it doesn't make you happy because the dopamine rush you get from getting 1 million views on something is pretty sick. But it's not like any sort of like fulfilling thing. It's exciting, just like a roller coaster is exciting, but you don't get off a roller coaster like, that changed my life. It's just like a fun thing, So, at the time when I started the channel, I was like very concerned with, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And now I'm older. I'm more sad. That's not true. I'm not more sad. I just like, my motivations have changed a lot, so.
Is there something you can point to as a reason for that?
Yeah, I think when I was in the end of high school and beginning of college, I just wanted girls to like me. And then now I just want to make stuff. Now I just want like, I think my one big goal in life is to have a family. That's like the only thing that I like. Anything else could happen and I wouldn't be that disappointed about it. Like if I didn't become X, Y, or Z, if I don't get to be a dad at some point, I'm going to be heartbroken. So, that just changes the motivation of things. It's like, I don't care about being Mr. Popular. I kind of want to be a good dad and I want my kids to think I was cool. So
do you think that this intrinsic motivation will keep you going for as long as it takes? You're just going to be making videos forever?
It'll keep me going in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, like I could definitely see a world where I just write and don't make videos, or I could see a world where maybe I get really into music and try and do something with music or something. I'll always be making stuff. because of that intrinsic motivation, or at least the current version of me believes that I will. But yeah, I don't know. I'll hopefully always be making stuff. Or I could die tomorrow. I could get hit by a train tomorrow. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm asking this kind of whole segment of, strategy on YouTube and so to speak, because first of all, I find it really kind of, again, at putting me at ease that you don't really have to stress out about that too much. But also I'm wondering, like, how do you sustain yourself as an
Great
artist?
question.
So to
Yeah,
speak?
really good question. Really good question. I got super, super, super lucky with the job opportunity that I have right now. So all of my income comes from making videos. None of it comes from YouTube. Not, I mean, maybe on a good month, like $100. But most of my stuff comes from like, yeah, I don't know. I guess you could say like client work, which I really enjoy that too. Like I love being behind the camera and coming up with a video and I'm so much more willing to do all the strategizy stuff, like thinking of a hook and all that stuff when it's for someone else trying to push a at the end of the day, no matter what you do, like you have to have a job. you have to make money. I got really lucky in the sense that the thing I love doing and the things I make money doing intersect really, really beautifully, and they influence each other. It's like as I do more client work, it gives me ideas for my personal work. As I do more personal work, it influences my client work and makes that better. So I've gotten really fortunate in the Venn diagram of sort of financial flow that I am sitting in, and I don't take it for granted. Sometimes I do. Actually, I take that back. I take it for granted a lot.
So what would you say is the proportion between the professional work and personal work?
It's pretty 50-50. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, when I get back after a long day of doing a client thing, I'll just get on my computer and start fiddling with my own thing, So it's pretty much consistently both, which I'm super grateful for.
And how much time, like in a week, hourly, if, it's a rough estimate, do you think, oh, that almost just fell over? How
I
much?
love this setup, dude. It's so awesome. Both of us, dude. It's great.
Yeah, this is just, the most sketchy thing ever. Wait, I wish I could show you this, but this is just literally my phone standing there. So either way, how much time per week do you think you spend on like creating videos in general, both personal and client work?
Oh, man, again, it's a blurry line because when I'm not making videos, I'm usually either coming up with an idea for a video passively. Like, I think a huge part of making good videos is like living a good life. Like, I think you really do have to take a lot of time to be like, okay, I'm going to not bring a camera and I'm going to go do something fun. And then that to me is the same thing as working or like coming up with inspiration, because it's like, you're not going to have anything to say if you don't do stuff, So it's a blurry line, like all the time, none of the time, I guess. When I actually have a camera in my hand is probably like, I don't know, like 10 hours a week, or if even that. But the video making process is so abstract that I feel like it's nonstop. So
Video making, especially, not tutorials or so to speak. I don't know even how to call these videos, they're just such a vague thing, yet so incredible. Is just, it happens all the time. But I want to deep digger into living a good life. Like, what do you think constitutes a good life for you?
Community. I think having really close friends. That doesn't mean having a lot of friends. It just means having close friends. Consistency, I think, has become really important to me. It's like, and by that I don't mean like not doing fun stuff or not doing exciting stuff. It's just like, I think having a place that feels like home is important for me. And then kind of
even
just
when
being willing.
being a van lifer.
Yeah, that was a hard chapter for me, honestly. I really thought I was the kind of guy that could make that work, and it was very difficult. It was really, really difficult because I'm such a homebody. Like, I don't want to be, and I've been so lucky with the situation I'm in right now to travel and do super cool, exciting things. And I feel guilty that there's this part of my heart that just loves being home, but it just kind of is what it is. I think I don't know, living a good life is a really hard thing to answer, but if I had to boil it down to two things, it would be the people you surround yourself with and willingness to see flaws in yourself and not be hurt by that, and just be willing to grow from it, I guess.
Yeah, like Jake says, right? The flaws are actually what makes you interesting as a character. We don't like
Yeah,
perfect characters in any story, you know. They're the
yeah,
ones,
exactly.
you know, they
Exactly.
drive
And
us away.
it doesn't always have to be like a negative thing. It's just like understanding that you're a flawed, broken person that's just trying to figure it out and being okay with that can really lead to a lot of satisfaction in the fact that, like, okay, I get to figure this out. I have the opportunity. I'm alive. I get to work through this stuff. And it's given me a lot of purpose and opened a lot of doors for me, just thinking like, okay, got to figure this out. So I don't know. Everything I'm saying is long-winded and abstract. I'm so sorry.
That's the way I work too. So for me, that's just a feast. Listen, I really wanted to ask you about community too. So I'm very happy we kind of landed on this naturally. Because you're friends with some of the creators that I admire the most. Jake is one of my favorites ever.
Dude, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I'm so lucky to know Jake.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to ask. Like, how did this happen, first of all? And second of all, like, how do you think that impacts you and your day-to-day life, but also just creativity, obviously?
Yeah, I mean, like, let me say, like, Jake specifically, as far as video making is concerned, is truly one of my heroes. And it's like, it is so wild to me that we're friends. Like, it's just so cool. Like, we met just through like an Instagram competition, and it was just super happenstantial. And I didn't know who he was before that. And then when I saw his YouTube channel, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy knows what he's doing.
What time frame was that approximately?
Gosh, that was about 3 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
3.5 years ago, maybe.
So that's a pretty new thing.
No, yeah, it feels like I've known him forever, but we've only been friends for a couple of years now. And it's just been such a blessing of the last 3 years. I have learned so much from him, and I'm so grateful for him. But that also comes with, like, there are people I have that have influenced me just as much, even so far as video is concerned, that just have nothing to do with video. I have a friend group that I feel like I feel like 1 in 100 million people wind up with friends like I have, and it's just like an endless source of inspiration. It's so helpful, and yeah, I don't know. I've just gotten so lucky. I can't tell you how much it means to me or how it happened, but
were these just local people you just had around, or?
Yeah, just the intersection of life. It's like 100 different spider webs in the same place, and you don't know whose web you're gonna wind up on if your little spider crawling around on there. I just kind of wound up on all the right spider webs, I guess, just through yeah, I don't know.
So, but before you met Jake,
Destiny.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk to you about fate later on too. Before you met Jake, did you have any friends who were also like in the niche that you were in of filmmaking,
Yeah, I would say like the town I live in now is very much a ski town, and there are a lot of people that like film themselves skiing or film other people skiing there. So I think I had a lot of friends who were just like passively filmers. I think like the storytelling side of thing is a little bit more rare to come by, and I think that's one of the reasons Jake and I click so much, is we're both super concerned with storytelling. And I think that's why you and me click too, Bartek, is because it's this bond that ties you together. So I didn't know anyone super personally that was like as interested in the storytelling thing that I was. So yeah.
And what do you mean by that? How would you define storytelling even?
These are huge questions, man.
I know. I like to dig deep. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I had an Estonian friend over who's also a YouTuber, and Estonian people are quite interesting because they're not very outgoing. They're not very extroverted, but they skip over the small talk too. Once you get to know them, they're like super deep conversationalists, and I love that in a way. I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
outgoing, I'd
Yeah, I'm
say,
into
but
it.
having these deep conversations, I think it's also like increasingly rare. Like it's so hard sometimes to find someone who you do click with and like you can talk about just deep things with, and that's I really like to cherish that.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. I think it's so cool how connected you are, dude. You inspire me just in the fact that like you are such a go-getter. It's so awesome. Like, oh yeah, this Estonian YouTuber over a while
Oh,
back.
actually, he reached out to me, and that's also I'm more and more mind blown by the power of the internet, and I there's
It's
also been a
crazy.
there's been a thought in my head because there's just like it's so black and white, so to speak. So there is some people who can use it to like immaculately, with so much power and
Mm,
influence and all that. But most people don't even kind of know how to use the internet for their benefit,
yeah.
and even mindless scrolling, like it's a huge thing. So there's been the thought of me creating a video on how to use the internet. I don't feel like I'm an expert, but yeah, he reached out to me on a YouTube video. He just literally commented like, "Hey, I sent you a DM somewhere," and I'm like, "Okay." I always respond to these kind of messages because
Yeah.
I'm on social media to make friends. Literally, that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest motivations I have. I want to meet people who
Dude, good
inspire
on
me.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so cool.
and so I reached out to him. We talked for 2 hours on like a Zoom call or Discord or something, and then shoo, he came over.
Oh,
So
no
that's
way, that's
yeah,
cool. Dang. Oh, dude, that's super cool. Wow, what a magical happenstance.
yeah. That's just the internet. So wait, what were we talking about before? Community
We
and
were talking.
friends.
Well, you asked me what storytelling is.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, do you want me to answer that? That's such a big
Yeah,
question.
like you don't have to give me a definition, but kind of like
Well,
what
the
it
the
means to you.
simple
And
the simple answer is like the difference between like the people that I personally knew in college and high school is like you can go out and you can film like skiing and skateboarding and all that stuff and come back with a bunch of super cool clips, which I
mm,
love doing. But then to use that footage to say something is like something else. It's like kind of a different sort of hobby
mm,
altogether, even though it's the same thing. Um, and yeah, I think like it's it's especially in the world of like action sports, it's like telling a story through action sports that isn't about overcoming an injury or something is like pretty rare, I guess, or
and
I
that's
don't
what you
know.
do right now, right? During the
Yeah, that's sort of the job I'm doing right now is definitely like storytelling through action sports that is yeah, it really doesn't have much to do with anything, but it's super fun.
how do you find that connection? Like, especially that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Jake, dude. Jake is a wizard. Yeah, I'm only here because of Jake. Yeah, he invited me to. He got this project because he's a legendary filmmaker, and they made a great choice asking him to head up the series, and then he just sort of needed help, and so I again just right place at the right time. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's generally the thing in most cases, but
Yep,
not many people really talk about this. They're like, "Oh, I did this all myself." Well, yeah, I've seen.
dude. I've just been lucky. I've been so lucky.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But how like okay, so you're currently in Italy, right? Filming the mountain bike World Cup, right?
Yeah,
How do
that
you
is
you have
true.
to film a video every day, am I right?
Yeah, during race week, so we have a week off right now, which is super
Okay.
cool. Yeah.
So
But yeah, we'll make 54 videos this summer. So
how do you
it's a lot.
find the story when something just happens spontaneously and you have no idea what's gonna happen? You have no idea, like everything is just an unknown. You have to
Yeah.
go out, film everything you can like catch because you don't know what you might need, and then you have all this tons of footage, I suppose, and you have to
Yeah.
make something that clicks. How do you do that?
Well, to be totally honest, we've only actually done that 1 year, and that was the first year because the first year we did the series, this is the fourth year we've done it. We didn't know anything. We didn't know any of the people. We didn't know the schedule, nothing. And so that year, it was exactly that. It was like every day you would wake up not knowing what was going to happen, and you just have to film everything, get back into the edit, and hope it comes together. Now, we've done this so many times, there are patterns like there is the race day, and the race day can only go so many ways. There's like the day where they like inspect the trail, and that can only go so many ways. So it's like each day there is a thing that is happening, and so we have a strategy for every day. It's way less hectic than it was then. Like then we were finishing videos at like 3 a.m. sometimes. Now we're usually done before midnight. So we definitely have a system figured out at this point, and it's not nearly as hard as it sounds from the outside.
Do you think that having a system like this is beneficial for creating your personal projects, or do you prefer just, dabbling?
I think for maybe someone whose channel is laid out differently than mine, it would be super helpful. Having some kind of consistent thing you can go back to that works. I really like doing a different thing every time. Like I'm uploading a video on Monday, and it's way too similar to another video I've already made in the past, and it's kind of bumming me out. I use like basically the same storytelling formula, and it's not my favorite thing ever to use the same formula twice.
Can you tell us about the formula, not the video itself? Because obviously, that's a secret.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a secret. The formula in this one specifically, it's kind of hard to put into words, but instead of that, let me tell you actually a formula that I try to always use, because I think that might be more helpful. A formula I always try and use, and I got this from my mom. My mom is a writer. She writes amazing stuff, so a lot of the storytelling stuff comes from her. She's so good at full circle endings, which is like where you begin the video right where you left off in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's saying the same thing. Sometimes it's ending on the same shot. But dude, you can start something and end something in a full circle ending, and no matter what you do in the middle, it'll seem intentional. It's so great. Like, I feel like that's kind of the thing with this one I'm uploading on Monday, is it's very like, there's not a lot that happens in the middle, but it feels so intentional because I did a full circle ending.
How do you find the moment that will? Do you think that the circle ending moment, so how you begin and how you end, I presume that's kind of like the most important part then. How do you find that part? How do you know that this is what will click?
It could just be the best shot. Like it could be the best looking shot. And so you're like, oh, I want this to like be the period at the end of the sentence. And then also it can just be like on a storytelling point of view. Like the God video I made, like I Can't Believe in God Anymore, is such a funny little quirky joke.
Yeah.
When you get to the end and it's like, I can't believe in God anymore. So I wrote that specifically down. So I knew that was going to be the beginning and the end. So it varies, but yeah, you can go full circle all kinds of ways.
Speaking of God,
Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury is the best full circle ending book ever. Every chapter has a full circle ending, and it's amazing. It's my favorite book ever. It's so good. I feel like my YouTube videos try to be chapters from that book.
Interesting. Speaking of God, the last video, do you think it's at all brave to upload something like this, or was it pretty easy for you, the video about God?
It's such a big part of who I am. It didn't feel super brave. Like, I think, I don't know. It didn't feel super brave to me, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. What's your take on faith? What do you actually think it means for you personally, but also kind of like, what is it? How would you describe it to someone who is not faithful and maybe they're trying to find the, faith or God or whatever?
Jeez, yeah, these are huge questions. I mean, first off, I'm never going to be the kind of guy that tells you, like, I have the answer and you have to follow my answer or else X, Y, or Z. The answer I've sort of stumbled on in my own life and in my own experience just happens to be named Jesus. And I'm not gonna go smacking people in the face with that realization, and I'm also not gonna be open to the fact that like it could be way different than what I perceive it to be, because I only have my own sort of perception. But I just look out the window right now. I mean, like, it helps because I'm in Italy and there's a huge mountain right here. But no matter where I am, dude, even if I'm in Nevada and there's nothing going on and I'm at a Waffle House or something, like it seems impossible that any of this is real. It's just it's amazing. It's so amazing. And like the fact that we have these mushy meat computers in our noggins that are just perceiving all of this, and we have the ability to make all these choices and decisions about what we do and don't believe, and then you look down and a flower grows, and then you take a breath air and you're inhaling a million tiny creatures, and it's all sustained, and it seems way too good to not be designed. No matter how bad things get, it just is like, this can't. Yeah, I don't know. And so for me, it's just like a base level assumption that this is not an accident, and I've never been able to escape that. And I fully get why people can't do the same. But yeah.
Do you think that it's your faith that is kind of like causing you to be so attentive to detail and like taking happiness from a flower growing or seeing the mountain and like being stunned by it and just like being in awe with stuff? Or do you think it's maybe the other way around?
I think they're one and the same, really. I just think like when I am experiencing even just little things, like when I see a bird fly, dude, I'm like, that's God.
I feel that, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like one comes before the other. I just feel like I am consistently amazed by everything that happens all the time. And I feel super lucky. Yeah, I know it's not like a universal feeling. I feel super lucky to have just sort of stumbled into it, but I can't escape it.
Do you think it's possible to learn this, or is it something that you're kind of like given, and some people will just be in awe with everything and others won't?
Man, again, I don't think I have any sort of like answer to these questions definitively. But
have you always been that way?
Yeah, I think I have,
Okay.
but I think a lot of that came from my parents. Like my parents just, they never missed the opportunity to point out something amazing, and you know, luckily, even as a dumb kid, like I was open to listening. So I think I just got super fortunate with my family and the way I was raised and everything. But I strongly believe it can be learned. Like I would be shocked if there was a person out there that couldn't experience something that didn't move them or change them in some way, or, you know. Do I think it's my job to go out and yell at people and smack Bibles over their heads? No, that's not me.
Your attention to like these little things that make you happy, like the bird flying and you thinking it's God, or like, you know, the flower being there and you're like appreciating it. So taking these little things and being happy about them, how do you think that has impacted your videos, if in any way, or videos, creativity in total? And also, do you ever like intentionally think about giving that forward, about trying to kind of like make other people feel the same way?
Man, it just feels like all kind of the same thing, because I've been super into snails lately, dude, because there's like, I don't know why in Colorado we don't have any snails. There are all kinds of snails out here in Italy and Austria and everything. And like when I see one,
my dad would hate you right now. He's fighting
really?
the snails.
Like
He's fighting the snails because the snails are eating all his, you know, like cabbage and all that.
Awesome. I love the snails, dude. I'm a big supporter of snails. But when I see a snail, it's like, I can't not take a photo or a video of a snail. It's just like, I'm just like, oh, sick, a snail. I gotta take a picture of it. So I don't know. It's like, is that being influenced or inspired? Sure. It just kind of feels like, I see snail, I take video of snail.
So that's kind of what you said in the camcorder video recently, right? About your sister too. Do you think it's contagious? Like if you surround yourself with people who are just fascinated by snails, do you think you will become fascinated by snails too?
Dude, let me tell you one thing definitively. This is the only definitive thing I'll say on this whole thing. If you start really paying attention to snails, you're going to like snails. You can't avoid it.
Yeah,
Snails are dope.
I have a similar theory, because I think everything is fascinating if only you think about it long enough. You know, like even a freaking curb. I had this realization when I was I was traveling somewhere, I don't remember. And I was in a bus and I was just looking out the window, you know, kind of dramatically, like in a movie. And I was looking at the curb just passing by me. And I was like, man, that is incredible. Someone literally figured out how to make this, you know, there were tons and tons of hours poured into this. Like someone engineered the whole thing. Someone then figured out how to even lay the cement or the brick or whatever.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know,
and you could make like you could make a whole video about that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think it's any sort of magical special thing you're born with. I just think you just sort of got to pay attention, and if you do, good things will happen. Because, I don't know. It's kind of easy to get sucked into. It's easy to get sucked into your job or whatever, and those are important things to do. But just crazy stuff happening all the time. It's ridiculous. There are curbs everywhere.
And snails too.
There's snails and curbs, and you can't escape.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh wow, yeah, this is incredible. Do you have any, just even one tip on for someone who might not be able to do this, who might not find beauty in a snail? Like, how do you begin?
Oh gosh. Let me think about that for a second. What's my one tip? I don't know. Maybe just delete your Instagram. Maybe that's where I'd start.
Do you still not use social media?
No, I do. I definitely do. I'm definitely someone that is trying to figure out the balance between, like, you do kind of have to be like somewhat of a business person to sustain it. Obviously, like we were talking about, I need to have some kind of presence. If I was in any other sort of realm of work, I would not have it at all. Like if I was a barista or something, or if I was making something tangible, I would probably have to figure out some way to sell it, of course. But if I had any opportunity to not be on social media, I would take it. Unfortunately, the medium kind of requires it. So
yeah,
I am.
How do you find the right balance so that you don't lose your mind and yet, kind of promote whatever you're doing?
Yeah, I think like different tips, like no matter, I first off, I don't follow many people, which helps just because it's like, it's not berating you all the time with everything everyone's doing all the time. And then even when I follow people, I mute everyone. Like on Instagram, you can mute their posts and their stories. So I don't have anyone not muted, which isn't anything personal. It's just like, if I'm going to be a part of your life, I'm going to be a part of your life, like in the tangible sense. I think liking your stuff is a surface level way to tell someone you care about them. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know, just little things like try and figure out what the Facebook corporation is trying to do to you, and then just do the opposite thing. Because there's nothing good in it. All they want to do is sell you stuff, really. It sounds like I say that as if it sounds like I'm like a conspirator, but it's the truth. All they want to do is sell you stuff. So I don't know.
So how do you take whatever is happening on social media, people having the perfect lives, everything and all that, and kind of like realize that's not the truth, but also have the courage to go out there and do something and, fail no matter what happens? Is there anything that I kind of got lost in that question? What I'm trying to get at is like, how do you convince people to hop from fake life to real life, especially using social media as a medium? Is there a point that you can, create a video that will click and people will like be like, okay, I got to do something myself right now?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this specifically is a question I'm having to answer for myself right now because I'm in a privileged spot. I am literally in Italy right now, and I'm an American, and I'm getting paid to be here. It's like, it's hard for me to say like, oh yeah, don't look at other people's awesome lives, because I have an awesome life. Like I really do have a super awesome life. I guess all I would say is like, you can have an awesome life anywhere. You really can. And again, I know I'm not the guy to be saying that because I'm currently doing something super cool that most people will never get to do, but one of my favorite parts about traveling and being able to do all this is I love going home. It's just like the best part. It's like going, you see your friends and you see your family and you see all, you go to the restaurant that you know exactly what to order. And like, I don't know how to answer that question because I'm not, it's, you could find some Dalai Lama guy that isn't traveling the world right now that would have a better answer for you. But the truth is, it's just like my favorite things in life they're at home. so hopefully,
and yet you're one of the most adventurous people I have met too. Like,
I know.
How do you think adventure impacts, the quality of life and also what you create?
I mean, for me, again, there are all different kinds of walks of life. There's all kinds of different people that find fulfillment in different things. I just love I love adventure-y things so much. It's why I live where I live. Like, it's a small town, but it has huge mountains. It's got amazing skiing. It's got like the rivers are perfect for kayaking and rafting. The mountain biking is incredible. It's like that's where I find fulfillment. So I position myself such that that would be something I'd have access to all the time. Um, but I also know people where it's like they love thrift shopping. They're just like they absolutely love finding old clothes and like whatever. I think just being in tune with what brings you joy and then positioning yourself in a way that becomes not only a consistent part of your life, but like a functioning part of your life. Like you do get some sort of, whether it be money or that's what your friends do or whatever. I've integrated the things I love so well into my life that it all feels very fulfilling. So long-winded, abstract.
Again, that's what I love the most.
Okay,
I,
good.
I want to come back to a few things we've talked about and slowly kind of take this to the end. A little bit about community and friendship. How do you look out for people who are in line with what you do, and then how do you make them your friends, so to speak? Is there any kind of like, and also maybe that's something I'm trying to get into more, because again, I'm on social media to make friends.
Yeah.
How has meeting these incredible creators at some point changed your life, not creatively, personally?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what I would also say is like, like I said, Jake is an outlier in the sense that he's a close friend of mine and a creator. Most of the people that impact me the most are not creators, or at least in the sense that we're talking about here. So I would make the distinction. It's like I don't think you need to make creator friends to be a good creator. It's like just be inspired by everyone. They don't have to have any label attached to them for them to make a significant role in your creativity and your inspiration. So with that said, I don't do, part of the biggest toll of the job I have where I travel a lot is like, I like being heavily invested in their lives. And it's hard to do that from here, obviously, because I'm not there. Part of the reason I love going home is just like, I feel like I'm back with my people. And sometimes when I'm gone for so long, I feel like I'm missing an opportunity for that relationship to get deeper and become more meaningful and everything. But so even though I'm not the best at it, just care about other people. Just invest yourself deeply. Don't, it's not, I'm not friends with my friends because I'm like, oh, how are you going to inspire me to make a video? I'm just friends with them because I care about them, and that materializes in better videos. That's not the goal. It just is a byproduct. And I've gotten super, super fortunate to have people that do the same for me. And I hope I'm someone in their lives where I also fuel them in some sort of way, be it creativity or whatever. Those relationships are more important than any view count you will ever get. No amount of dopamine is similar to the one that you get when you just are close with someone. Dude, my friends, like,
wow.
Like the feeling I get getting coffee with my sister, we live in the same town and we get coffee almost every morning, and that dopamine rush is every bit as intoxicating as the million view video every time, and I can do it every day. So
how do you invest in relationships?
Oh, dude, I don't think it's like a checklist thing. It's like, I don't know how you turn it on or turn it off or whatever. It's just be interested. Like, I'm just interested in what's happening with them. Like my really good friend Jake Raber just started his own painting business, and I've just been like fascinated by the whole thing because it's just like so cool. I'm just like, oh, my friends are so cool, and I can't turn on or turn off being interested in that. I just kind of am. So I don't know how I got there, but I'm glad I'm there.
That's so cool, and also again so refreshing to see this kind of perspective. And actually, the goodwill that you're giving out in the world instead of just trying to take everything.
Well, it doesn't even feel like that because what I get back from it is tenfold. It's like, it does not feel like I'm like any sort of like generous guy. Like, oh, I really care about your painting business, Jake. It's just like it feels like they're fulfilling me in all these ways I can't really put words to. It's cool. It's just cool. I love them. And Jake's one of them, dude. Jake is every bit as much one of them. He just happens to be the only one that's also a creator. So
That's phenomenal because I've been dabbling about individualism and community so much recently because I also am lucky enough to have 4 absolutely incredible friends. We've gone through so much crap together, and we still are. And I seen an image a few days ago when my best friend, he came to our house having a lot of personal struggles and issues, and my dad kind of like talked to him, and they hugged each other and they cried one with another. And coming back to just noticing the beauty in these things, like it was a tragic moment in a way because they were both going through very rough times, but somehow I was touched, I was moved by the fact that this is what community is about. The fact that people come together and care about one another for whatever reason. Like it just kind of happens. It just clicks.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of happens, and you just give a damn about someone that one day you didn't even know. It's just really, really beautiful for me. So that's incredible to hear too.
I'm always hoping to get better at it too, because this all comes with the qualifier that like I'm not always good at it. Like I am selfish, and I'm not always a good friend, but the times I am always turn into the most significant, impactful things. And like for you, it's like I think I know the answer already, but would you rather have gone through that moment with your friend and your dad, or would you rather have a 1 million view video? It's like one is so nothing and the other one is everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is a great perspective. Wow. I mean, wow. I love to hear that because again,
not that that's like you have to ever make that choice, but
yeah. No, but I mean, it puts so much perspective because again, the game, whatever you call it, like YouTube or something, it's social media, man. Again, it's so easy to get lost in all that crap that doesn't really matter at all. Views and all the other things. And yeah, I would love to be able to express myself for a living. Like, of course I would. But on the other hand, like, okay, maybe I should just create whatever I feel like creating at this moment. Try and be consistent so I learn. That's the main thing. And whatever happens, happens. And just enjoy life in the meantime,
Yeah. Well, even just the phrase "for a living," I think you can express yourself for a living and never make a dollar from it. It's like money is not everything. You don't have to make money making videos. You can have a normal job and be creative in any sense, and that's fine. That's totally fine. In fact, I admire that so much. Like people that they don't make a dollar from it ever, and they never stop doing it. That's so sick.
Yeah, that's inspiring. It really is. Okay, so to finish it off, one thing I think, could you come up, or maybe you already have, an exercise for someone who's trying to become a better videographer, but also having in mind kind of like the storytelling aspect? What's the best thing, apart from practicing, obviously, just creating videos, but what's the one thing you recommend someone do in order to shoot prettier videos that also kind of touch people better?
Think about what you want to say before you say anything. That's my biggest advice, because I know that's not very good as far as like video specific is concerned, but I think you will get to a point at some point where you just feel like, oh, I have to make a video. I really want to do this. I got to make a video. Live a little bit of life and figure out what you want to say with the video, and then the rest will come naturally. Really, it's like if you have something to say, you'll figure it out. But if you're just making a video because you want to make a video, it's probably not going to feel quite so. It's not going to feel the way you want it to feel, That doesn't mean spend your life looking for some sort of thesis statement for everything. It's just like for you, it's like that curb thing is a great example. If you just want to say like, man, I think curbs are really super crazy, then figure out the best way to say that. And if that, and you know, like use the video as the medium to say it. But there's a really good song. There's a really good song called Clay Pigeons by Blaze Foley. It's like kind of a country western song. It's just about this old cowboy who sings country songs and hops on the Greyhound bus and goes from town to town. And one of the lines in it is just, he's just talking about, it just says, "I'll start talking again when I know what to say." And I love that so much because that's not an internet thing. It's not an internet thing to only talk when you have something to say. An internet thing is to just never stop talking about everything. And it's kind of exhausting. So that's my advice, I guess. I don't know.
That's great. That's great.
And I think, oh yeah, that's exactly the moment, because my battery just literally died this moment. I'm not even kidding.
Sick. My camera's overheating right now, so I should probably roll that.
Shaffer, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this conversation, because again, I don't want to over-compliment you, but you've been a huge inspiration, so I feel super honored that we're even able to do this, and I think that's incredible about the internet too.
Dude, I'm so humbled by the fact you'd want to talk to me, and just know anything I said I could grow out of and change my mind about. So for the people listening, just don't hold me to things because I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it out.
The beauty of whole thing, right? I like looking back at my videos and being like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So to all the guys listening, sorry for me getting a little bit lost at the end. I feel like I kind of went off track.
Dude, you crushed it. That was great. I really, really enjoyed talking to you. Seriously, I had so much fun. So thank you so much,
Shaffer. Is there anywhere you want to point some potential viewers to? Is there something you want to share with them in terms of like where you were? Nope. Just do your thing. Okay.
Go watch Bartek's videos.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great time there in Italy. And again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking this time.
Yeah.
It makes so much difference. And I hope you have a wonderful time there.
Feed the pigeons some clay, turn the night into day, start talking again when I know what to say.
For context, for whoever's watching, for wherever this goes, Bartek and I just spent almost 30 minutes waiting for me to figure out how to use
20.
a microphone. Yeah, well, you know.